Because we want Data Manager API to be the single ingestion API for all use cases, we're supporting both audiences and conversions across all Google advertising doors. This is Google Ads, Display Video 360, Campaign Manager 360, Google Analytics. We think privacy should be table stakes at this point, so we implement confidential matching out of the box for anyone using Data Manager API to send in their first-party data signals for customer match.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ads DevCast, the podcast dedicated to helping you build better with Google's advertising products. I'm your host, Corey Lucino, and today we're talking about a big shift in how you'll manage your audiences programmatically. If you're a developer working with audiences in Google's products like Google Ads API or Display and Video 360 API, this episode is for you. We'll be covering the new Data Manager API, and we have a special guest to guide us through it all. We have a PM with us, Melissa Ng. She is the PM for Data Manager API, so we're super excited to have her join us. Before I bring in Melissa, I'd like to quickly give you an overview of what this product is all about and why you should care. So the Data Manager API is a unified ingestion API for data partners, agencies, and advertisers to send first-party data to multiple Google advertising products. It lets you send audience and conversion data to multiple Google advertising products in a single call. So the Data Manager API also supports features such as confidential matching and encryption. Okay, cool, but why do I care? For years, managing audiences and conversions across different Google products meant juggling multiple APIs, each with its own schema, its own learning curve. The Data Manager API is Google's answer to that complexity. Its real value is not only in speeding up your development and not only reducing that complexity, but also helping you build data strength. By unifying fragmented first-party data into a single, high-quality stream, the Data Manager API empowers you to build a foundation that maximizes conversions and fuels the AI-powered personalization your clients need to see a real boost in ROI. This isn't just a new home for audience management, it's a strategic engine for performance. So the current timeline for Data Manager can be broken down into 4 parts. Data partners have already been notified, and those integrations need to be sunset in March of 2027. DV360 audience ingestion, that API will no longer be available in 2027 as well. The customer match functionality in Google Ads API currently isn't accepting any new advertisers or partners. So anyone new who wants to use customer match in Google Ads API, you need to integrate directly with Data Manager API. And the final sunset for existing customer match API users is currently TBD, but just expect that it is coming soon. So what does adopting the Data Manager API mean for you now? Well, one, there's the ease of use and efficiency. Instead of maintaining integrations with up to 3 different APIs, you now only need one. This means less code, less complexity, faster development cycles. We've actually heard partners achieve significant savings in their resources by consolidating their integrations to just the one through Data Manager API. There's also the privacy by default. Data Manager API comes with confidential matching right out of the box. This means your data is always protected and you have the additional option of encrypting your customer information. This is done with a trusted execution environment. It's specific hardware to verify the security of your data. It's a huge step forward for building audiences that are private by default. 3, though, is future-proofing your stack. The Data Manager API is the future. And for new developers, the Data Manager API is the only way that you can upload customer match information instead of using Google Ads API. So with that all said, and without any further ado, let's bring in our Data Manager PM guest. Welcome, Melissa. If you don't mind, please go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone.
Sure. Hey, Corey. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I have been a PM here at Google for the last 4 years. I have a history of working in ad tech and ad agencies, and I'm excited to talk to you about Data Manager API. I know how frustrating it is to manage multiple pipelines across so many different stacks, so really excited to talk about this one unified ingestion API that we have launching.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited as well. So I guess let's start with the big picture. What was the main driver for creating the Data Manager API, and what problems are you looking to solve for our developers?
Yeah, so we've heard the frustrations coming from our customers Anecdotally, one of our larger advertisers told us that they spend over $1 million per year just on maintenance alone, which is wild. The management of schemas, the required updates, the troubleshooting, all of it adds up. So we have a data partner who's actually integrated with Data Manager API, and they've actually cited a 2 times faster onboarding for their customers and a reduction in engineering costs by 80%. So we're really excited to see some of this output so far. With sort of the internal fragmentation of all of our products, each product has its own requirements. They are not necessarily interoperable, and that causes a lot of confusion that we're essentially shipping to our customers. So the new Data Manager API, it's a streamlined and unified ingestion point for both conversions and audiences. That means that when you're sending in a field for, say, transaction ID, that field means the exact same thing in all of our downstream use cases across all of the Google advertising products like Google Ads, Google Marketing Platform, and Google Analytics. Data Manager API also lets you send in data once and fan it out to a variety of downstream destinations. And the unified schema I was just mentioning helps you actually scale that across use cases or features even within the same product. So what that means is if you're using Data Manager API for Google Ads, you'll actually have an easier time adding support for different conversion features like offline conversion adjustments or enhanced conversions for web if you've already implemented sending in offline conversion data. It's all one endpoint, it's all the same schema, and compared to the existing Google Ads API, where you would actually have to implement different services and request different schemas for those features. This new API can effectively replace your existing integration pipelines. It helps you reduce maintenance costs and your workflow frustrations.
Actually, I want to touch on something you just said. I know our topic today is all about audience management, but the Data Manager API isn't just audience management, correct? What else does the Data Manager API offer today, and what does its roadmap look like?
That's right. Because we want Data Manager API to be the single ingestion API for all use cases, we're supporting both audiences and conversions across all Google advertising doors. Like I mentioned before, this is Google Ads, Display Video 360, Campaign Manager 360, Google Analytics. Today, we actually have support for offline and web conversions and audiences like customer match in Google Ads, support for audiences in Display and Video 360, and support for web streams in Google Analytics. This quarter, I'm excited to say that we are adding use cases like store sales in Google Ads, event conversion support in Google Marketing Platform products, and app support in Google Analytics. And throughout the rest of the year, you'll see me and the team launching parity support for all of the remaining use cases. So at the end of the year, you will actually be able to say, I can ingest all of my data through one API and fan it out to all of my different downstream use cases.
And then I guess no matter what data you're sending, and whether it's with our platform or really any platform, privacy is a big concern for everyone. So can you explain what privacy by default means in the context of the Data Manager API, and specifically how confidential matching works?
Absolutely. We know that end user privacy is a big concern, and we take it seriously. We think privacy should be table stakes at this point, so we implement confidential matching out of the box for anyone using Data Manager API to send in their first-party data signals for customer match. Confidential computing is a type of privacy-enhancing technology, or PET, that happens in a trusted execution environment and allows data processing to take place in an isolated part of a system that no one, not even the computer administrator, can view the data. This enables 2 or more parties to share and process data in a privacy-centric way for useful purposes. So even though the data is collected individually, it can be aggregated or minimized in a way that is both useful for businesses and doesn't reveal any information about any one person. And what this means for you is that when PII is sent to Google, whether it's hashed or encrypted, that PII goes into this trusted execution environment where only that machine can decrypt, match it against Google's ID space, and only the IDs that Google already knows are spat out. That means no one, not even Google, can access the data being processed. And the cool thing about confidential matching is that as a customer, you get the attestation and technical guarantees that the confidential matching worked exactly as it was designed.
There's a lot to absorb there for our development teams, and I'm sure they're going to be like, can you please put that in writing for me, because that was too much for me to focus on right now. So FYI for everyone listening and watching, I will be putting a link to everything that Melissa just said in the episode description, as well as hopefully if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in a little bubble up here. I'll see what I can do. But Melissa, as we move away from managing audiences and conversions across multiple APIs to just Data Manager API, Can you elaborate on some of the efficiencies that developers can expect to gain from this consolidation?
Definitely. So as I mentioned earlier, we know it's really costly to maintain multiple APIs, multiple schemas for just Google alone, let alone the other ad tech platforms many advertisers use today. By unifying and simplifying these multiple APIs, we will maximize the efficiencies and actually help advertisers scale. So this means you only need to manage one universal schema from here on out, and integrating with only one API for ingestion purposes across all Google Ads products is really going to make life easier. You also will get to scale even faster. So if you manage multiple accounts across different platforms, like if you're a big company, you have multiple ads accounts, this will actually help you segment and ingest your data at scale. You can send it in once and actually fan that data out to all of your different accounts and pick and choose what goes where. We've worked with a lot of data partners since becoming generally available in the back half of last year, and one of them has actually said they're able to onboard advertisers twice as fast and already see an 80% reduction in engineering efforts, which is huge.
No, that's super huge. And as someone on the developer relations team who gets to work with developers all the time and I get to hear their feedback all the time, I know the benefits don't just end there with scaling faster. I know development teams know how difficult it is to troubleshoot issues with audiences and with conversion management. So the biggest change that I'm excited for here is the Data Manager API stats in the UI. This diagnostic and stats information is not only going to help report on the API issues themselves, but also with downstream issues. So developers are going to be super excited to be able to leverage this information. So Melissa, question for you, how can developers leverage this and what is the value add for them here?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. This will actually be the first time we're showing API stats in the Ads UI. Data Manager UI is available today in Google Ads. It's under the Tools section on the left-hand side, and it's coming soon to other platforms. So regardless of whether you're integrated directly with Data Manager API or whether you're getting data sent to your ads account on behalf of you from a data partner who's integrated with Data Manager API, you'll actually be able to see that connection in your Data Manager UI page. This means that in your own UI, you can actually see the health of your API connection, rolled up daily stats, relevant diagnostics. You'll be able to check in to see what issues, if any, are impacting your user lists, your conversions, and be actually able to proactively troubleshoot from there. We're launching first with conversion diagnostics, and we will be following up with audience diagnostics shortly after. And for the developers who aren't in the UI, we also have a status API as part of Data Manager API, which lets you check in on the status of your requests and also understand any downstream async errors associated with your upload. So we want to provide as much visibility across the board as possible.
That's awesome. And again, for every developer out there who's ever had to reach out to our support, who's ever had an issue with audience management or conversion management, you know the time savings this visibility is going to give. So what I'd like to ask is, do you have any case studies that kind of show some of the value that we've seen here?
Yeah, and I've kind of mentioned this one a couple of times in the past, but Treasure Data, who was one of our first API integration partners, they were the ones who published a case study with us that claimed the 2x faster advertiser onboarding and 80% better engineering efficiencies. And they're a pretty scaled data partner. They work across, thousands of advertisers, and being able to provide this type of efficiency to them has been really great. We've also seen a lot of data partners get access to additional feature offerings for their customers that they didn't previously have before because of these barriers of entry. So anecdotally, we've had a couple of data partners who are only offering customer match uploads, for example, and after they've integrated with Data Manager API, they've been able to move into the conversion space as well, which is great for their business, great for their advertisers, great for us. It's like a win-win-win.
Aside from just customer match, which we know Data Manager API does support, are there any other audience use cases that Data Manager supports across the board?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really happy to say Data Manager API currently supports all audience use cases in Google Ads and DV360. So while customer match is probably the typical prime use case that everyone's used to, there are additional audience use cases in DV360 that data partners typically use, like licensed user lists, third-party audiences. So all of that is actually centralized in the ingestion and creation point of view through Data Manager API. So anyone who's using that can actually migrate today and get all of the same benefits in that end-to-end workflow.
And we've talked about the wins, we've talked about the value add, but I know there are deadlines as well for this migration. So why don't we quickly dive into that? What happens if we don't migrate in time?
Yeah, so as you just mentioned, we've sent out notices to all of our data partners to migrate to Data Manager API by March of next year. If they fail to do so, their legacy API will actually start to error out. The Customer Match API on Google Ads is no longer accepting any new developers now, so new users will need to integrate directly with Data Manager API to avoid this migration. And we'll be announcing the sunset date for that Customer Match API soon, and will likely give ample time for advertisers to migrate. We know migrations are tough, and we've already launched publicly accessible migration guides to help make it as seamless as possible. These guides include code samples on GitHub, step-by-step tutorials, and written documentation. And as always, our support teams are ready and willing to hop in and help out where needed.
Yeah, definitely. And for those developers who are new to Google's audience management tools and have to use the Data Manager API right now, what's your advice for them to get started?
The best way to get started is to check out our developer documentation, which has these step-by-step tutorials to get your account set up and get going. We're also going to be launching support for Data Manager API developer community on Discord soon, so feel free to join the server and keep an eye out for our updates. And we also love hearing from our developers and are all ears on anything that we can do to help ease migration or the integration experience, so don't be shy to reach out.
For sure, yeah, and myself and my team are going to be the ones on Discord, so +1 to that, please do join the Discord. If the community wants to get involved and they want to provide feedback, maybe they want to get help with the migration, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, I'm always looking for more feedback from users in our development community to help us build a better product. So please get involved. Discord is a great way to bubble up feedback. Additionally, if there are feature requests or issues that are encountered, another great way to reach out is through our developer documentation feedback, and we'll provide the link. And also through our support channels. So filling out these feedback forms, I know it feels kind of like you're sending it into the ether, but we do actually have people who look at it, and that feedback does actually come to our product and engineering teams. And it really does help us understand who to actively reach out to when we need more information. And it's also a great way for us to reach out if we have any alpha or beta opportunities coming up, knowing, if it's a feature that you're asking for and it's a feature that we're working on, we would love to test with you. And if there's anyone listening who is already a DM API user, first, thank you. And second, if you want to partner with us on a case study, we're always looking for more candidates. So fill out the form and come my way.
Yeah, and in addition to everything you just said, all the mediums you've listed, I really want to encourage everyone, if you're not following our blog, please do. If you're not, like, for example, on LinkedIn, I'm posting content about this stuff all the time. Please do follow us. I'll make sure I post links to everything in the episode's description as well. We also have, though, for this episode and for every episode, we have an episode feedback survey where we're going to ask you some questions about how did the episode go. We're going to ask you some questions about audience management. Your feedback is super important to us. Please, please, please fill it out. It's really, really important. Melissa, what is next for the Data Manager API? What can we expect in this coming year?
Oof. It is a jam-packed year for Data Manager API, and this is very much equally exciting and terrifying for me to say. This year, we're focused on full use case feature parity with our ad stores. Like I mentioned before, by the end of this year, we want you to be able to do everything and ingest everything through Data Manager API. So you'll see us launching support for different conversion use cases across these stores, like Google Ads, Google Marketing Platform, Google Analytics. And we are really excited to see kind of how that picks up and the efficiencies and the scale that we can provide customers. And as I mentioned earlier, we're also investing a lot in improving our diagnostics and our error messaging, with improvements coming to our status API as well. And what we want to do with this is really give customers more visibility into what's going on with their data, how to fix these problems, how to proactively get notified when these things happen. And we want to make sure that everyone can also understand the state of their API health and requests and get all of that in one place. So I'm really looking forward to launching some of these, quality of life improvements and these feature benefits for our advertisers. We think it's going to go a long way.
Sounds like there's lots to come. Super exciting. I can't wait to see the value that we're going to continue to provide to our developers. I would like to shift really quick, actually, into our community segment. At the end of every episode, we go over some community questions. I put out a survey about 2 weeks ago in our Discord channel and on LinkedIn, and I asked a couple questions. The question I asked were, what questions do you have about Google's audience management solutions or Data Manager API? And I also asked, what challenges do you have in prioritizing this migration on your end? So we actually got a lot of great questions back from folks, got a lot of great feedback. And we'll continue to have this conversation with folks as we go forward. Please, again, join the Discord, chat on LinkedIn. We'll continue that conversation. But here are a couple replies that I'd like to highlight, and maybe, Melissa, you can help me answer these. But one of the big ones was, why should developers care about the Data Manager API? So maybe you can give me a little bit of your feedback on that question.
Yeah, I feel like a broken record at this point, but I can't emphasize this more. I think efficiency at scale and centralizing your management is going to be a really great value add for adopting Data Manager API. Just the idea of having to integrate once, have one universal schema that supports all of your use cases is hopefully something that everyone who's listening feels is beneficial to them as well. Data Manager API is also going to be more featureful, and what this also means is that any of the new features that we're building, any of the value adds, any of the new kind of like ads, attribution updates, all of those things are only going to be available through Data Manager API. So if you want access to the latest and greatest, Data Manager API is really kind of that place where you'll be able to get all of that. And then finally, just like that ease of use, right? Both in implementation and in maintenance. I think this is something that we've heard a lot in the past as frustrations from our customers. Our team is really dedicated to making sure that this is not just a one-to-one migration, but that there's actually a lot of developer benefits that you can reap by moving over.
Totally, yeah. And also another question that we had, and it's kind of along the same lines, for the companies asking the same type of question, if our pipelines work today, what value is it in us for migrating? Like, I'm not getting anything, I have to just rewrite some code. And I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is that golden set of schema that we were talking about that can be used across all publishers. Yep. But what else comes to your mind when you think about that?
Yeah, definitely better extensibility and synergy to implement it once and have it work across the advertising landscape. I think this opens up a lot more doors for you as well. So it really allows you to kind of tap into all of the sort of downstream AI benefits that Google Ads has been putting out lately too, right? The better your data is going in, the more we can do with your data in an ads and measurement perspective as well. And like I just said, this will actually give you access to a lot of the new features that will only be available in Data Manager doors. So the latest in ad attribution and targeting, as well as developer-focused improvements.
And it sounds like this is already providing a huge benefit, and there's way more to come. Melissa, I'm not going to eat up any more of your time. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. We'll let you get back to it, building us some awesome new features for Data Manager API. If anybody has any questions for Melissa, please reach out in the feedback. Please reach out in the feedback form linked in the survey, in comments. Melissa, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Really excited to be here. Happy we got to chat. And thank you, community, for giving it a listen. And please provide that feedback.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa.
Cool. Thanks.
And that's all the time we have for today. To our listeners, the Data Manager API is a big opportunity to simplify your stack, enhance your privacy, and build for the future. So don't wait for the deadline to get started. You can find our documentation, migration guides, our Discord community, and a whole bunch of other resources in links in the episode's description. Like I said, I'll also try to put them throughout the video as links. Reminder, our survey is available. It's goo.gul/adc-survey-e2. We really want your feedback. That also will be in the episode description. Don't forget to subscribe to Ads DevCast. Please leave us a review in the comments, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.